Hi, I'm Terry Pasquarelli, MVP Realty.
Hi, I'm Rich Pasquarelli with MVP Realty.
Well, while we're outside, why don't we talk about pools and pools in Florida? There's an awful lot that goes into thinking about choosing, keeping, maintaining, and enjoying a pool, and we've probably been through it all.
Well, I'll tell you, pools in Florida compared to up north, most people want a pool in Florida. Single-family homes sell much faster when there is a pool in the back. Most homes that don't already have a pool, they can also be added later, but people like to have their own pool in Florida, and they also most of the communities have community pools, or if you're in a condo, they have their pools. So you're even if you're not in a single-family home, you still have access to a pool when you're not at the beach.
Makes sense, and a lot of people like that on an everyday basis. You may not go to the shore, the beach line every week or every weekend, but you can get out in your own yard or in a courtyard in your home and enjoy being outdoors and enjoy life in and around your pool.
Oh, it's nice to be able to come home after work and just jump into your own pool. And when people have company from up north and they come down, they like to be able to have them right at their own house and have the convenience of their having their own pool.
You know, pools used to be very, I would say, kind of standard seeming. It seemed like the features were very standard. And I'm sure across the country, but certainly here in Florida, that has changed. You know, there's a lot to look at and consider about what would make a really fun backyard pool.
Right.
What are some of the things that you think about and you look for when you're out showing homes, or when we've been, building a home of our own, about features in the pool?
Well, we see homes that were built 10 or 20 years ago. They have just the pool, no water features, no spa, and now what we also have is even a shelf. You can see behind us there. You can put a ledge loungers on and just be in about 6 inches of water. So there's a lot of new water features and spas that have been able to be added to the pool. It makes it much more things you can do with it. You don't have to just plunge into the pool, and now you can sit on a shelf. You can go in the spa. And for us, when we go in some of the winter months when it gets chilly down here, we don't heat the whole pool. We'll just heat the spa and enjoy that. And so having a spa when we first moved down. We didn't think that we would use it very much, but now something that we use almost every single day.
That's right, and I think that's a kind of ties into a component of having a pool in Florida. What we're not building into the pool is a winter closure system. This pool is open all year round, many people can use their pool for the majority of the year, if not all year, based on a heater or based on having a spa where they can create, in essence, a thermal pool, even if you don't want it cranked up to hot tub kind of temperatures. And that makes this an outdoor space that we can use on a 12-month basis.
Right. Well, when you have a spa, you're going to have a heater. You have to heat up the spa. And you can use that heater will also, you can heat your entire pool if you want to use the entire pool all winter long. And it could also take the edge off. I know some people that are used to the northern climates and getting into like the Jersey Shore, the temperature of their water is going to be, in the summer, is going to be pretty much what our pool water is in the wintertime. So you may not need a heater at all. But if you have a spa, you're going to need a heater. Sometimes people have solar heaters that are very efficient. Otherwise, the only other the most efficient after that is actually an electric pool heater.
That makes sense. I think as people are considering resale and new construction builds, they may find in a resale that someone has really planned out a pretty interesting and feature-laden pool. If you are building a new house, it's not necessarily the builder who decides what your pool's like. They often give you an opportunity to talk directly to the pool company, directly to the designer, and really think about the layout of the pool in terms of your whole outdoor living and how you want to even arrange the components, right? So a lot of choice.
You do. You sit with the pool builder and you decide if you want a spa. Do you want a raised spa like we have here that we're sitting on the edge, or you can have one that's low that you get in that's at the same level of your patio and anywhere's in between, that they can construct that any way that you want it, and you can decide the size, the shape, do you want to put in a shelf, do you want to put in water features, a waterfall, or we have some bubblers in the back that add a little feature to the pool. It's nice at night because we can light them up, and so you get to decide pretty much just as fancy or as simple as you would like to have a pool. But we are open. Our pools are open all year long. We never shut them down. They're in the northern parts of, if you go a little bit more north in Florida, where you could get a frost or a small freeze, the pools have built-in safety features where even if the pump is off, if the pool gets, the air temperature gets near freezing, that they turn on automatically overnight, and so you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, our pools, especially down here in the southwest Florida, the southern part of Florida, below the frost line, we're open all year long, so you can enjoy your pool or your spa anytime that you want.
Makes sense. Now, the other thing, once you have that pool, is who's going to take care of it? And is it, P is for pool and pleasure, or is pool equal to P is pool and it's a problem? Is it a hassle?
It's actually, it's not. If you're here full time, you could have someone come in and take care of your pool, or it's not very difficult to do it yourself. I take care of the pool myself, and I can do minor repairs as much as I want to tackle, but for the most part, I handle it myself. And I would say, on average, to take care of your pool, if you spend an hour a week taking care of your pool, you've already spent 45 minutes more than what the guy that you pay to come and take care of your pool will do. He's going to come once a week, he's going to test your water, he's going to spend about 15 minutes there, and he's gone. You can do it once a week. I do it, sometimes I check the water every day or every other day. I might let it go for a week. Depends on the type of equipment you have, and it depends on how detailed do you want to keep that pool water. Do you want to make it so that it's exact to the numbers, or you let it slide? Because the pool company, they let it slide for a week, so they get that thing nice and balanced for you on Monday, and then by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, things, the water chemicals start to go a little off balance, and so by Sunday they're all messed up again. So he comes in on Monday and has to fix it. If you take care of it yourself, then you can do it twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever you want. But even if I do the pool every single day for the week, I'm only spending an hour out of my time to do it.
Now, you're not a chemical engineer. How do you decide what to test? What are you looking for? A couple of key metrics, a bunch of metrics, and is it really complicated?
It's not complicated. You can get a number of different testing methods, and on a daily basis, I'll only test for the chlorine level, which I really don't need to test on a daily basis. You test for the pH and the alkalinity. Those are the 3 major things that the pool guy is gonna test when he comes on Monday morning or whenever. And once a month, I'll get a little bit more detailed, and I'll check the salt level, and I'll check other types of other levels of different chemicals that don't need to be tested on a weekly even. And usually, the only time you have to look at those is that if you've had, or it's either a lot of rain, or when we have here in the wintertime is our dry season, you might have to stick the hose in there to raise the level because of evaporation. So you might want to test a few other things if you have to do that a lot. But for the most part, a couple times a week, you test the chlorine, you test the pH, and you test the alkalinity, and you're fine. The chemicals to change those, if you're pouring in chlorine, you can get that at a pool store, and you can, and for pH and alkalinity, you use muriatic acid and baking soda, and you find that at either your Lowe's or Home Depot, or even in the grocery store you can pick up baking soda.
That's right. And so we don't have a big cabinet full of chemicals for you to be keeping this pool in really good, consistent condition. You keep your core things, and most of the time that's what you need.
That's what I need. And now that we've switched from adding the chlorine to a saltwater generator, I don't have to carry the chlorine buckets from the pool store anymore, and we can also feel comfortable in leaving the pool for vacation and not have to worry about the chlorine level, because with the chlorine generator you set it and you pretty much forget it, and the only time you change that is if the weather changes. As it stays lighter longer, the sun will deplete the chlorine, so you might have to change the numbers on the generator, or in the wintertime when you have less, you can lower it a little because you're not using up as much chlorine.
Well, do you think there's some misconception where people think that I don't have a chlorine pool anymore once they get the saltwater generator?
A lot of people say, "Oh, I want to get a saltwater pool and not have chlorine in the pool." Well, chlorine is always going to be in the pool with a saltwater generator, and salt is always going to be in your water even if you don't have a saltwater generator. If you pour chlorine into your water and the sun depletes the chlorine, what it's doing is it's turning it into salt, and the salt generator takes the salt in the water and it turns it back into the chlorine. So it's a cycle from salt to the chlorine through the generator, and then the chlorine back to salt from the sun and the bathers that are in there. There is you'll have salt in your pool even if you do not have a saltwater generator. It may be a little lower parts per million than you would if you had a salt generator, but you're still going to have it. And when I switched from pouring in the chlorine to the chlorine generator, I like to have about 34 to 3600 ppm of salt in the pool. And when I tested it before I had the generator, just using the chlorine, I already had about 2800. So I didn't have to bring it up much more to get that generator to work. So you're going to have salt in the pool, and you're going to have chlorine in the pool. So
just how you get there.
It's just how you get there. So it's not that you have a salt water pool. You probably most people will never taste the salt. If they do, you might have too much in there.
And you don't smell the chlorine either. Like if you've got your pool right, it's not like what my memory would be of, going for swimming lessons in some kind of a, community pool or something, and just feeling like that chlorine was just so super strong.
Well,
in your home pool, you don't have that going on, right? When you
the reason why you have a chlorine smell is because the chlorine is working and it's actively killing bacteria. So that's why you usually smell chlorine in public pools, because it's working very hard. But kept right, your home pool shouldn't be smelling of chlorine. And where I was with the salt, with a level of about 3,000 to 3,500 ppm, that's about 10 times less than what you find going into the ocean. So you're probably not even going to taste the salt.
That makes sense. So, and that will allow the water to be crystal clear. You don't have, kind of that cloudy feeling, and you're doing that a few minutes a day, checking those levels, and maybe a little muriatic acid, and then making sure your saltwater generator is kind
Right.
of dialed in correctly for the time of year.
And as we're changing seasons, we're going into summer. We're having longer, warmer days. I see where I have to turn up the generator and have it work a little more to be able to keep that level where we want it to keep a safe pool. And because it's always running, you don't have the peaks and valleys of adding your own chlorine. You add the chlorine, it goes way up, and then after a couple of days, and it starts to go down, and then you add the chlorine, it goes way up. With a saltwater generator, it maintains that level all the time. It's adding a little bit all the time during the day as the pump is running. It's turning that salt into chlorine.
Makes sense. And so that's kind of reasonable. The other thing we don't have here that I remember having up north is a lot of leaves in the pool and junk falling. Now, sometime you're going to get pollen and things coming along,
Right.
but in the yards or the back living areas here, usually it's either a cage, a lanai cage, like the one people can see behind us, or at least a fence.
Right.
But the cage, in some regard, just helps keep big things like big fat leaves
Right.
from falling down into our pool. You don't need a robot necessarily as a vacuum. And
No.
do people have to think about a lot of other expensive equipment if they want to keep their pool, skimmed and cleaned?
No, that's I have a skimmer.
A manual one, right?
A little manual skimmer, and of course you have the one that's built into the pool, and that's there mostly because we have some plants on our lanai, and if you lose a leaf or whatever, it gets in the pool, I'll grab the skimmer and pull it out. But otherwise, because it's a screened-in lanai, we really don't have to worry about leaves falling in or palms or anything like that because it's covered. So people that don't have that, they're gonna probably have to skim it a little bit more, or maybe they can put on a robot. They might get a little bit extra dust and pollen and leaves, but we get it. We get dust and we have pollen, but we don't get it as much as you would if you didn't have the screen.
Well, who would be a great candidate for those really neat robot vacuums? Because they certainly are popular.
Well, I mean, when you start going out into East Naples, where you're in all this beautiful pine trees and everything, and if you don't have a screened-in lanai, you're gonna need some kind of a robot or a skimmer to get that stuff out of there.
Well, how about if you're not here 12 months a year? Would that be helpful to have the robot or vacuum going in a pool, or just leave it to a pool guy?
Yeah, I would not have, me personally, I wouldn't want to put the robot in the pool while you're not here for half of the year. Sometimes they can get stuck on a part of the pool. They may get stuck on your shelf and start to suck air, and no one's here to fix that for you. So if you weren't here, I wouldn't do that. And obviously we were talking about, do you want to do your pool or you want to have a guy do a pool? If you're not here all year long, you need to have someone take care of that pool. You're not going to close it up like you would a pool up north. You have to keep it running because otherwise when you come back, if that pool has not been running while you were gone, it's not frozen water. It's going to grow things if it's not running through the filter and being chlorinated.
That makes sense. Well, the other thing too, when I think about pools here, and we can see it's inside our lanai, it's very much incorporated into our outdoor living space. And you want to also make sure it's a safe environment, because you may have visitors or family members who are younger, and you don't need or want anybody falling in a pool. So there are some code rules, aren't there?
There are.
In Florida that you'd be looking at, whether you're building a home or whether you're buying resale, to make sure your pool is enclosed correctly.
Right, and there's two ways that you can protect the kids from getting in the pool when they're not supposed to. One of them is a little alarm on the door, and there is a button that's pretty high up, and you'd have to be an adult to reach the button. You push the button, you open the door, you come out, and you close the door, and then it's rearmed again. So any little kid that can slide open the door or get out either through a window or a door, there's going to be that button next to it, and without pushing that button and opening that door, that alarm's going to go off. The other way to do it is they can put in a small, it's like a see-through screen fence that goes along in front of the pool, and it's removable. So let's say the grandkids are here, you want to put that pool fence up, you put that up, and it has a little door that you can unlatch, and you'd have to figure out how to do it. It's not easy. And then so you can put that up to keep the kids safe, and then after they go, you can just roll it up and put it back in the garage someplace so it's not always in the way. So those are the two ways that they have to keep kids away from the pool when they're not supposed to be in there.
Makes sense. Now, a lot of people are going to be purchasing a resale home when they're in Florida, and they think a lot about, okay, I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to hire an inspector, and we're going to check the roof and so many of the mechanicals inside. Well, what about the pool?
You really need to get a pool company in there to inspect that pool. There are, over the years, there have been code changes to pool equipment to make it safe. You know, you probably have heard where people have gotten hurt very bad by pool equipment sucking in their hair and things like that. Well, in today's pools, there's safeguards for that. There's different equipment. There's different vents and things that need to be on there today that maybe were not on there years ago. You need to have somebody come in and take a look at that, make sure that that pool is up to code, and even it's not so much that the last owner needs to fix that to bring it up to code, because it's still legal as to when that pool was made. But you may want to know that when you go in and you have grandkids coming down, or even yourself, that you want to make sure that you go out and get that everything is working properly and is up to code, and no one's going to get hurt in there. There's going to be things that he needs to that he'll check. He'll look at the pool equipment, make sure your pool heater is running properly, make sure that your filter doesn't have a crack in it, or things like that. So it's very important, because pool equipment is very expensive, to have a pool company come out and do a separate inspection on that pool.
So that's worth the bit of money you invest up front. Can really give you a great plan and some comfort going forward as you go to buy that house.
Right. Well, we always tell people to inspect for everything you can inspect for, whether it's a resale house or even a brand new build. You should always have an inspector, someone else come in and climb up on the roof and check all of the mechanicals, and this way you know what you're looking at before you move in.
It makes sense. Well, it's kind of fun having a pool in Florida, and it's certainly wonderful to know we can use it 12 months of the year.
Right.
I think one of the things we can talk about in one of our next videos will be all of the things that go around the pool. There's a lot to consider and so many options there, because outdoor living is a really big component of what we're about here in Florida. But I think we've covered a lot about pools for today. So what I would say to you is that you want to tap into your local resources. Call me, Terry Pasquarelli, MVP Realty. Call Rich at MVP Realty. You can reach us at 239-300-6047. We're happy to guide you through the process and talk to you about some of the resources and the companies that do the work that we talked about today. And until the next video, it's getting a little warm out here, so cheers, Rich.
Cheers.
And we'll all talk soon. Have a great day.
Bye now.
Bye.